Why do you always feel tired? Have you ever felt like your mind is a never-ending cycle of worries, negative thoughts, and stress? Do you have nights when you toss and turn over a small conversation during the day? Or do you always torment yourself about past mistakes? Do you compare yourself to others and feel like you are not good enough? Modern life makes us caught in a never-ending cycle of stress, expectations, and fears. We worry about the future, regret the past, and lose ourselves in the cycle of negative emotions. But what if you could let go of these things? If your mind could be completely quiet, no longer burdened by invisible burdens? In this article, we will explore 7 habits that are binding your mind and learn how to let go of them to find peace of mind. Based on Buddhist wisdom and real-life experiences. This article not only helps you identify mental barriers but also provides specific methods for you to practice every day. Chapter 1. Stop overthinking. Let your mind rest. Have you ever spent hours analyzing a small situation? Have you ever replayed a conversation in your head and blamed yourself for not saying something better? Or have you imagined countless future scenarios and worried about things that have never happened? Overthinking is one of the main causes of stress, anxiety, and insomnia. It keeps you in a constant state of anxiety, never feeling completely relaxed. But the sad thing is, most of what you think is not real or worth worrying about. Why do we overthink? There are many reasons why people fall into the trap of overthinking. Fear of making mistakes. You always want everything to be perfect and are afraid that a wrong decision will lead to serious consequences. Wanting to control everything. You believe that if you think enough, you can control the future. Worrying about how others perceive you. You are afraid of being judged, so you always try to predict what others think. But in reality, overthinking does not help you control everything but only makes you more stressed. Real story. The woman who always worries about the future. Maya is an office worker. Every night before going to bed, she often thinks about what happened during the day. An email from her boss with a slightly confusing sentence also makes her think all night. Worrying about whether she did something wrong when she was assigned a new project. Instead of starting it, she spent hours worrying about what might happen if she failed. This left Mai stressed and exhausted. It was only when Mai started practicing mindfulness on the advice of a friend that she gradually realized that her worries were mostly imaginary. She focused on the present instead of letting her mind run wild with unhelpful thoughts. She started meditating for 10 minutes a day, writing down things she was grateful for, and learning to relax her body when she felt stressed. What does Buddhism teach about controlling thoughts? According to Buddhism, the human mind is like a stream of water. If it is stirred too much, it becomes murky and cannot reflect clearly. The only way to gain clarity is to let the mind be still. Mindfulness helps you observe your thoughts without letting them control you. Meditation gives your mind space to rest, avoiding being overwhelmed by negative thoughts. Conscious breathing helps you connect with the present, instead of worrying about the future. Lesson learned. Not all thoughts are worth worrying about. Observing your thoughts without getting caught up in them helps you have a more peaceful mind. Practicing mindfulness, meditation, and deep breathing are effective ways to control your thoughts. Chapter 2. Let go of anger. Learn to forgive to self-free. There is a saying, holding grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. When you hold a grudge against someone, The person who suffers the most is you. Why is it hard for us to forgive? Feeling hurt. When someone hurts us, we want them to suffer the consequences. Fear of being hurt again. We think that if we forgive, it might happen again. Overly big ego. We feel that we are right and the other person should take the blame. But the truth is, holding grudges does not change the past but only harms ourselves. Real story. The father who forgave the person who killed his son. Mr. High lost his son in an accident caused by a drunk driver. For many years, he lived in hatred and wished for the person who caused the accident to receive the most severe punishment. But when he met the driver in prison, he realized that he was also living in torment and regret. Instead of continuing to hate, he decided to forgive. He did not forget the pain, but he let go of the feeling of resentment to free himself. Lesson learned. Resentment does not make you happier. It only prolongs suffering. Forgiveness is not accepting mistakes, but freeing the soul from pain. Learning to let go helps you live more peacefully. Chapter 3. Stop comparing yourself. Learn to love yourself. Have you ever looked at other people's success and felt inferior? Have you compared your appearance, career, finances to your friends, colleagues and then felt dissatisfied with your current life? Comparing yourself to others is one of the biggest reasons why we are unhappy. In the age of social media, people only show off their best, making it easy for us to fall into the trap of others have perfect lives. But I don't. Why do we always compare ourselves? Human instinct. Since ancient times, people have tended to compare to evaluate their position in society. Social pressure, standards of success, beauty, happiness make us always feel that we are not good enough. The impact of social media. We only see the glamorous exterior of others without knowing what they are facing. But the truth is, comparing yourself does not make you better. It only makes you more anxious and dissatisfied with life. Real story. The girl who always felt inferior. Lan is a hard-working office worker. But every time she scrolls through Facebook, she sees her friends showing off pictures of luxurious trips, buying houses, and promotions. She starts to wonder, what did I do wrong? Why are others successful while I am still stuck in the same place? This thought makes her lose motivation and feel that her life is meaningless. But one day, she realizes, she is just comparing her dark side to the bright side of others. She decides to unfollow the accounts that make her feel inferior. Focus on her own goals and be grateful for what she has. After a while, she felt happier, more productive, and no longer felt pressured by other people's success. What does Buddhism teach about comparison? According to the Buddha's teachings, everyone has their own path. No one is the same. When you compare yourself to others, you are depriving yourself of the opportunity to appreciate yourself. Focus on your journey instead of looking at others. Practice gratitude to appreciate what you have. Accept that everyone has their own time and path of development. Lesson learned. Happiness does not come from being better than others, but from being satisfied with yourself. Social media is just the surface. Don't let it fool you. Everyone has their own journey. Focus on yourself. Chapter 4. Stop trying to control everything. Learn to accept and adapt. Do you feel insecure when things don't go your way? Do you always plan meticulously and panic when something doesn't go according to plan? If so, you may be stuck in the need to control everything. Why do people want to control? Fear of bad things happening. We believe that if we control everything, we can avoid risks. Sense of security. Being in control helps us feel less anxious. Oversized ego. We think our way is the only right way. But in reality, there are always things in life that are beyond our control. The more you try to control, the more likely you are to be frustrated and stressed. Real life story. The man who lost control of his life. An Min is a manager in a large company, always having a detailed plan for everything. But when the pandemic happened, his work was severely affected. All plans were turned upside down. At first, he panicked and tried to control the situation. But the more he did, the more stressed he became. Finally, he decided to change his mindset. Instead of fighting what was out of his control, he learned to adapt. He found a way to work remotely, take care of his mental health and spend time with his family. This helped him feel more peaceful, even though the situation was still not as expected. What does Buddhism teach about control? Buddha taught that everything is impermanent. When you accept that you cannot control everything, you will worry less. Learn to accept change instead of fighting it. Focus on what you can control. Let go of what you cannot. Believe that everything happens for a reason. Lesson learned. Life is always changing. Trying to control it will only add to your stress. Accepting reality will help you feel more at peace. Adaptation is the key to overcoming difficulties. Chapter 5. Stop living to please others. Have you ever done something just because you are afraid of being judged by others? Do you feel pressured to live up to the expectations of your family and society, even though it doesn't make you happy? We are often afraid of being criticized, afraid of being rejected, afraid of disappointing others. So we try to please everyone, even if it hurts us. But the truth is, you can't please everyone, and you don't have to. Why do we always want to please others? Fear of rejection. Humans are social creatures. We have the instinct to want to be accepted, wanting to be loved. We think that if we do what others want, they will love us more. Pressure from family and society. Many people have to live up to the wishes of others because they are afraid of being judged. But when you live to please others, you lose yourself. You can't pursue your passion. You don't dare to say no when you need to. And you always feel tired. Real story. The girl who always lives according to other people's expectations. Wa is a smart and creative girl, but she has never lived for herself. Since childhood, she studied the major her parents chose, worked a job that society considered stable, even though she didn't like it. She always tried to please everyone, but inside, she felt empty. One day, she realized that no matter how hard she tried, there would always be people who were not satisfied. She decided to start living the way she wanted, pursuing the job she was passionate about, learning to say no to unreasonable requests, and focusing on what was really important to her. Gradually, she felt freer and happier. The people who truly loved her stayed by her side, while those who just wanted to control her gradually left. What does Buddhism teach about people pleasing? According to the Buddha, the root of suffering is attachment. Attachment to the approval of others is also a form of suffering. When you are no longer bound by the thought of, what others think of me, you will find peace. Live in accordance with your values and desires. Learn to say no without feeling guilty. Accept that no one can please everyone. Lesson learned. You cannot and do not need to please everyone. Living according to the expectations of others will leave you exhausted and disoriented. The person who truly loves you will accept you for who you are. Chapter 6. Let go of the past. Learn to heal and move forward. Are you stuck in painful memories? Have you ever felt regret about what happened in the past? The past can be a burden if we don't know how to let go. There are people who live their whole lives with old pain, unhealed wounds, and regrets. But remember, you can't change the past, but you can change how you view it. Why is it so hard to let go of the past? Guilt or regret? We wish we had done things differently. Unhealed wounds. Psychological wounds can follow us for life if not resolved. Fear of moving on. Sometimes we cling to the past because we don't know what lies ahead. But think about it. If you keep looking back at the past, you will miss out on opportunities in the present. Real story. The man who couldn't forget his past mistakes. Mr. Hung once made a big mistake in his career, causing him to lose his dream job. For years, he beat himself up, feeling like a failure and unworthy of a new beginning. One day, he read a quote, "The past is a lesson, not a life sentence." He began to see his mistakes as lessons, rather than as something that defined him. He focused on the present, rebuilt his career, and eventually found a new job that he loved even more than before. What does Buddhism teach about letting go of the past? Buddha once said, "You cannot step in the same river twice." Life is always changing, and so are we. Accept that the past is gone. You cannot change it. Forgive yourself and others to free yourself. Focus on the present, because only the present creates the future. Lesson learned. The past cannot be changed, but how you view it can be changed. Learning to forgive yourself is the first step to moving forward. Happiness only exists in the present. Don't let the past take it away. Chapter 7. Let go of fear. Live a life full of courage. Have you ever wanted to do something but were afraid of failure? Do you have dreams but are afraid to pursue them because you are afraid of risks? Fear is what holds us back, making us afraid to step out of our comfort zone. But the truth is, there is no success without risk. Why are we afraid? Fear of failure. We worry that we will not be able to do it, that we will be laughed at. Fear of losing control. We want to know the outcome in advance. But life is never certain. Fear of being hurt. Past wounds make us afraid to try again. But ask yourself, which is worse, failing or never trying? What does Buddhism teach about fear? Buddha taught that fear is an illusion created by the mind. When we face it, it loses its power. Take action even when you are afraid. Realize that failure is just a lesson, not the end. Believe in yourself and your journey. Lesson learned. Fear is only powerful when you let it control you. Failure is not scary. Not trying is scary. Life truly begins when you step out of your comfort zone. Chapter 8. Happiness is a choice. Don't wait for it to happen. Many people think that happiness is something that comes from the outside, when we have more money, a better job, a perfect relationship. But if happiness always depends on external conditions, can we really hold on to it? The truth is, happiness is not something you wait for, but something you choose every day. Why are many people unhappy? They are always waiting for a perfect condition. I will be happy when I have more money. I will be happy when I find the ideal lover. They are stuck in the past or worried about the future. They forget that happiness only exists in the present. They compare themselves to others. Always thinking that others have a better life makes them never satisfied with what they have. But happiness does not come from having more, but from appreciating what they have. Real story. The man who always waits until tomorrow to be happy. Min always thought that when he had a better job, bought a bigger house, he would be happy. But when he achieved those things, he set higher goals and continued to wait for happiness in the future. One day, he met an old man who lived in a small house but was always happy. The old man said, "If you don't learn to be happy now, you will never be happy. Because when you achieve one thing, you will want another." Min realized that happiness does not lie in distant things, but in the way he looks at life. He began to enjoy every moment, appreciate what he had, and realized that happiness was all around him. He just hadn't noticed it before. What does Buddhism teach about happiness? The Buddha taught that true happiness does not depend on material things or circumstances, but lies in our minds. Happiness comes from knowing enough, not from having a lot. Happiness is present right now, not in the distant future. Mindfulness helps us enjoy each moment instead of chasing after something. Lesson learned. Don't wait for a perfect condition to be happy. Be happy right now. Happiness doesn't come from having more, but from appreciating what you have. Learn to live mindfully to enjoy the present, instead of worrying about the future or regretting the past. Chapter 9. Learning to let go of anger. Peace is a gift for yourself. When someone hurts you, what do? Hold on to anger or seek revenge? Anger is a natural emotion, but if left unchecked, it will destroy you more than the other person. Remember, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Why do we get angry easily? Too much ego. We think we are always right and cannot accept being hurt. Too attached to our own desires. When things do not go the way we want, we feel frustrated, not knowing how to control emotions, instead of trying to understand and transform anger. We let it control us. But anger does not make us stronger. It only makes us lose peace of mind. Real life story. The man who carried anger for years. Nam was betrayed by a friend at work. He felt hatred and could not forgive. Every time he thought of that person, he felt angry. But after many years, he realized that the other person had moved on with their life, while he was still stuck in hatred. One day, he read a quote from Buddha. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You're the one who gets burned first. He decided to let go of his anger, not because the other person deserved forgiveness, but because he deserved peace. What does Buddhism teach about anger management? Recognize anger. Don't try to deny it. Observe it mindfully. Focus on your breathing. When you are angry, stop and breathe deeply to calm yourself down. Practice compassion. When you understand that everyone has their own suffering, it will be easier for you to forgive. Lesson learned. Holding on to anger only makes you more miserable, not stronger. Forgive not for the sake of others, but for your own peace. Learning to control your emotions will help you live a happier life. Chapter 10. Live every day to the fullest, without regrets. If today were your last day, would you regret anything? We often live as if we have unlimited time. But the truth is, every day that passes is one less day in our lives. Why don't many people live fully? They think they have plenty of time, but no one knows what tomorrow will bring. They are too busy with unimportant things, work, social media, negative things. They don't dare to live the way they want. Fear of being judged. Fear of failure. But life is yours. Live it so that you have no regrets. What does Buddhism teach about living fully? Cherish every moment. Be grateful for every day because it is a gift. Do what really matters. Spend time with family. Pursue your passions. Dare to live your life the way you want. Don't let fear stop you from doing something meaningful. Lesson learned. Live each day as if it were your last. Enjoy each moment instead of worrying about the future. Don't let fear cause you to miss out on the meaningful things in life. Chapter 11. Knowing enough is rich. Live simply to be happy. We often think that being rich means having a lot of money. A big house. A nice car. But do those things really bring happiness? How much is enough? One person has millions of dollars but still doesn't feel satisfied. Another person has a simple life but always feels peaceful. The difference lies in the way they look at life. Why do many people never feel satisfied? Caught up in the material race. When they have a car, they want a better one. When they have a house, they want a bigger one. Always comparing with others. Instead of looking at what they have, they look at what others have. Confusing need with want. They think they need more than they actually do. Real story. The king's search for happiness. A rich but unhappy king. He asked a sage, "How can I be happy?" The sage replied, "Happiness does not lie in what you have, but in whether you know enough." The king did not understand. But one day, he disguised himself as a commoner and lived with a poor family. Even though they did not have much, they were happy and grateful for what they had. Only then did he understand that knowing enough is wealth. What does Buddhism teach about knowing enough? True wealth is when you are not bound by material desires. When you know enough, you do not need to chase after anything. Living simply helps your mind to be more peaceful. Lesson learned. Happiness does not come from having a lot, but from knowing enough. Don't let material things control your life. Living simply helps you appreciate what is most important. Chapter 12. Give to receive. The art of living truthfully. We often think that happiness comes from receiving. But the truth is that the greatest happiness comes from giving. Why are many people afraid to give? Fear of loss. They think that if they give, they will lose something. Only thinking about themselves. They forget that helping others is also helping themselves. Not realizing the value of sharing, a word of encouragement. A small action can change someone's life. Real story. The Man and the Bowl of Soup. There was a poor man who always kept his bowl of soup close to his heart. Afraid that if he shared it, he would have nothing left to eat. One day, he saw a hungry child. Although reluctant, he still shared a part of his bowl of soup. Strangely, from then on, he felt warmer and happier. He realized that giving did not make him poorer, but richer in love. What does Buddhism teach about altruism? Giving does not make you lose, but helps you receive more. True happiness comes from helping others. A small act can make a big difference. Lesson learned. Happiness is not about keeping things, but about sharing with others. When you give, you will receive more, not in material things, but in joy. Chapter 13. Accept impermanence. Learn to let go for peace. Everything in this world changes. People will grow old. Emotions will change. What you can have today, you can lose tomorrow. Impermanence can make many people afraid. But if understood correctly, it is a lesson that helps you live more peacefully. Why do we suffer? Because we try to hold on to things that cannot be held forever. We want everything to always go our way. We are afraid of losing what we love. Because we do not accept change. But nothing lasts forever. When we accept this, we will suffer less. Real story. The mother who cannot let go of the pain. A mother lost her only son. She was so heartbroken that she went to a Zen master to find a way to bring her son back. The Zen master said, "Go find a seed from a home that has never experienced the pain of loss." The mother traveled everywhere, but realized that no one had never lost anything. Finally, she understood that loss is a part of life. The sooner we accept it, the less we suffer. How to accept impermanence? Cherish the present, because nothing lasts forever. Love while you can. Learn to let go. Not because you don't care, but because you understand that nothing can be kept forever. Live more lightly. When you no longer try to hold on, you will feel free. When you understand impermanence, you will cherish every moment instead of worrying about the future or regretting the past. Conclusion. Happiness is a journey, not a destination. After all, the most important thing is not how much money, status or success you have, but whether you are truly happy or not. Happiness is not something far away, but lies in the simplest things. A sincere smile, a moment of peace, a gratitude for life. If you learn to appreciate what you have, let go of unnecessary things, and live each day to the fullest, you have found your own path to happiness. Remember, happiness is not far away, it is right inside you.